I am 99% sure that she was valedictorian for at least one or two, that she gave her valedictorian address on a video. I mean, and set it up ahead of time. Now, I don't even know how to spell valedictorian, but this is a special young lady. You know, another special young lady just went by. I want to go back to Erin Taylor Talcott. Yeah, she's a walker. Yes, she's married to Dave Talcott, and I think he's going to beat him today out here. But she plays the oboe in Carnegie Hall. No, where do these people have the time to be this talented in so many different things?
It's amazing. You think about what gets left behind here. It's got to be sleep, right? Because you think about all the diverse interests of all of these top-tier race walkers, and it's staggering to figure out. It's not fair that someone could be that good at that many different things. We look at the results here through 9 laps to go on the women's side. 11 laps down, 9 laps to go. Maria Michta-Coffey still leads. She got through the 11K in 50:41. She is now 40 seconds ahead of Miranda Melville, so she's starting to open up the lead on her fellow Olympian Melville. On the men's side, Emmanuel Corvera has caught and overtaken Nick Christie. Nick Christie went from a 4:18 lap at the 10K mark to a 4:54 lap on his last lap. Meanwhile, Emmanuel Corvera on his 11th lap of the day went 4:17. So Corvera outsplit Christie by 35 seconds in the last 1,000, and all of a sudden he's in first. Christie's in second. John Nunn is third. John Cody Risch is fourth with 8K to go in that men's race.
It ain't over till it's over.
Split. What the heck happened? Did he pick the reserve golf course? Golf cart?
With John Nunn at third place, John Cody Ridge is fourth, and Anthony Peters is fifth. And we're hearing from the officials that Nick Christie did take a quick bio break at the Porta-John set up along the way around, so that'll add a little bit of time to a lap, and we'll see if Christie's able to regain his ground on Emmanuel Corvera, who's overtaken him for first.
You know, that is a shame. The reality is that it does exist much more at the 50K when the best in the world are out here for 3.5 hours. But we do have porta potties on the course for the 20K as well. I indicated earlier, Nick has had trouble trying to figure out his feeding and his resources during these races.
Second place.
Now we'll keep our eye on Nick Christie. We're watching the leaders in that men's race come down the backstretch, and Christie does appear to be moving well again as we watch him making his move down the backstretch. Corvera is still in first as Corvera comes past the start-finish line going the opposite direction, but Christie's gaining ground on him. He's still walking at a good clip here as he passes some of the lap traffic, and he's about to overtake Maria Michta-Coffey again. So Christie looks like he's recovered well and now has work to do and has a target in front chasing Corvera instead of being out in front. Here comes our 5th place male athlete, Anthony Peters. Anthony Peters is through 12K and continuing to work out of St. Ambrose, where he competes in the race walk for St. Ambrose, wearing that SAU kit as he heads across the line.
Eight laps left.
As we have a break with the leaders out here, just for our listeners, again, the race walking rules. You basically got 2 rules, and you get disqualification cards for 2 items only. One foot must be in contact with the ground at all times. That's a big difference between running and race walking and walking. 2, the athlete's leg must be straight upon landing and until it reaches the vertical position or the body passes over that leg.
Here's Maria Michta-Coffey coming through, still leading the women's race with 8 laps to go. Michta-Coffey is through the first 12K in 55:18. In the men's race, 7 laps to go. Emmanuel Corvera still in first. Nick Christie, though, gained 3 seconds on that last lap. He went 4:14. So Christie's coming back now. He trails Corvera by about 11 seconds with 7,000 meters to go.
We're going to have a very exciting race here. Just saw a warning given to one of the athletes. You get warnings for either a bent knee or lifting. In other words, losing contact with the ground. Again, we have 7 judges out here. You must, if you get a red card, not a warning, a red card from
Emmanuel Corvera, Nick
3 different judges, then you're disqualified for the competition. You can get a red card every lap from the same judge, and it only counts as 1.
2 Rio Olympians just went through the start-finish line, John Nunn and Miranda Melville. Melville in second place in the women's race with 8 laps to go. She is roughly a minute behind Maria Michnikoffi, 58 seconds behind. John Nunn into third place in the men's race. The 14-time U.S. national champion has opened up his lead on John Cody Risch. Nunn in third. He's more than a minute behind Nick Christie for second, but he is now 21 seconds ahead of John Cody Risch, who for the first 10K had basically mirrored John Nunn.
The question is, how far behind, how much has he picked up on either Nick or Emmanuel?
So John Nunn at one point was about a minute and a half behind Nick Christie. He's now a minute and 1 second behind Nick Christie. Nunn is still a minute and 14 seconds out of first place, but coming back to the field a little bit here. He is a veteran. He knows how to manage his effort over the full course of a race.
We still have more than a third of the race to
7
go.
laps left for the leaders of the men and 8 laps.
They can't get over the conditions for this race. So it was moved up to 6:45, 6:46 dual starts with the men and the women due to the hot weather in Sacramento this week. But it is perfect this morning. The officials who made the move to have both races run at this time of day made a very smart decision. Temperature in the 60s, not a cloud in the sky, and these race walkers, well, of course, feeling the burn and the strenuousness of a long race, are not having to deal with the adverse conditions that we saw here maybe Thursday and Friday when the temperature was in triple digits.
I know, I just want everybody to realize we are still in Sacramento.
Yes.
I know that the weather report does not mirror, is even within hailing distance of what you have heard. But no, we really are in Sacramento, just outside the stadium, here on a well-shaded 1,000-meter loop.
Watching the men's leaders go past the finish line in the opposite direction as they complete their hairpin turn and come back to wrap up their 14th lap. They'll have 6 to go. Nick Christie is still gaining. It's like he put his fishing lure in the water. He's starting to reel it back in because he has gotten closer to Emmanuel Corvera, and it'll be very interesting to see their split when they come around here.
Trailing the leader considerably at 56.07.
This is our 4th place woman right now, Robin Stevens, coming through. Stevens now has 8 laps to go. So Stevens is through, trailing Maria Michnikoffi and Miranda Melville, who are your top 2. Michnikoffi, in fact, has more than a 500-meter lead on Stevens. She was going one way, while Stevens was going the other. Here's Emmanuel Corvera. Corvera is your leader here with 6 laps to go on the men's side. He has gained 1,000 meters already on our 6th place competitor, Matthew Forgas, who he's shoulder to shoulder with. And now here comes Nick Christie. Christie again gains ground. Nick Christie gains 6 seconds on Emmanuel Corvera on that lap with a 4:16 split. He is now only about 7 seconds behind. He had fallen after that bio break, about 30 seconds behind. So he is already yo-yoed his way back up to where he is hot on Emmanuel Corvera's heels. Here's Maria Michnikoffi. She has 7 laps to go, still leading, and her lead continues to grow as she's about a minute ahead of Miranda Melville. Melville still has about 300 meters in this lap to go, and Michnikoffi's already taken off on her next lap.
Let's see what John does when he comes by here. This race is not over. I do expect that by the time they come by the next lap, Nick will have overtaken Emmanuel. I want to see what John is doing.
John Nunn.
Here's John Nunn.
4th position. race going on. And
Nunn has gotten away from John Cody Rich, really started to pull it away, and he comes across the line, 6 laps to go. John Nunn, 4:17 on the last lap, so he gained ground again on Emmanuel Corvera. He's getting closer to those top 2 as he continues coming.
he's still a minute behind second place.
It is interesting how
Cody Rich.
the elite athletes can rip the field apart a bit. In the women's race right now, Mitch DeCoffey has just 7 laps to go. 4 athletes have 8 laps to go. The rest of the field still has 9 laps to go. So Mitch DeCoffey has already eaten up a couple thousand meters on some of the field. John Cody Rich through in 4th place. He is now more than 30 seconds behind Nunn as he goes through in 4:32 on that last lap. So young John Cody Rich trying to bear down here, keep himself in the top